a very busy schedule. Like the people of today's generation, we usually wake up, go to office, get stuck in traffic. So we obviously want a change, right? So I just want to get your opinion, what you guys do for a change. Can I get show of hands who want to give their opinion? Yeah, what do you
wake up early?
No, suppose you want to get a change from the regular routine.
That's
Go
what
to
I said.
Toastmasters.
That's why I said.
Okay. What about you?
Attend Toastmasters.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Dress up like this.
Okay.
That scares people.
So I have a unique approach to it. So whenever I get bored or whenever I feel I'm being too monotonous, I try to spend my time in the nature. So I usually go for a trek. So that's my way of getting away with the monotonous life. So this way I get to feel close with the nature, and I feel completely alone, and I get free space of mind. I can think better. So that is my journey with trekking. So I'll let you know how I started my journey. So it was around when I was 18, I visited this place called Wayanad, which is in Kerala. So that was my first journey towards trekking. So usually when we go to a place, we usually ask the locals around there to explore the places, since we won't be knowing. So as usual, I did that. I asked the owner of the homestay to let me know about the places. And he told there's this place called Chembra Peak. That was the second highest peak in Kerala. He told it's a really good place and it's unexplored. You can give it a try. Like I had no experience on how it would be because I haven't been to a trek before. And I was around 18 and I was with my dad and my brother. So this was a family trip. And he told it's usually a sunrise trek, so you need to start by 4. It was very cold and I usually don't wake up early. I usually wake up around 7 or 8. And I don't know, somewhat I was excited since that was my first trek. And I got around 3, so there was this jeep and it took to the base of the forest. It was a reserved forest. So I went to that place and we started trekking. Once we get the permission from the forest department, we started trekking. And it was around, we traveled for around 2 kilometers and it was around 5:45 sunrise time. That was the first time I saw the golden colors on the leaves, which really made me excited. And when you pass through the trek, right, you see a lot of tea plantations. And the view was mesmerizing. Like the way you see the views over the road trip, and it's completely different when you actually go through it. Like when you walk through it, the flora and fauna which you see is completely different because you get to experience the fresh air whenever you take the trek. And the important most thing is you get to see a lot of streams whenever you go through a trek, and you also see new kind of plants which you like, the colors which you see, right, that would really be exciting. And then I reached the peak. It was around 3 hours if I'm not wrong, and it was around 4.5 kilometers one way. And while coming back, I think it was around 11 p.m. when I reached. When I completed the trek, I got this satisfaction like which I never had experienced before. That made me really happy. So this is when I thought, I think this is a really good way to get a break, and this helps me recharge myself. So that is when I decided, let me try my second experience at trekking, and I went to this place called Madhugiri Fort. So this is it's a monolithic rock. So usually the place which I went back was Western Ghats, which was a proper forest. So this is like it's a single rock. Like if you guys would remember, like when you were kids, you used to draw a hill, a triangle. So this is basically a single rock, which is around 1,500 feet. So it's very difficult, and it's inclined around 60 degrees. So I started this trek with my friends. So we college friends decided we wanted some challenge, and we tried this trek. But once we started this trek, we got to know how difficult it is. It was very risky. There was no protection. It was around 60-degree inclination, and this made me realize that you need to respect the nature. It's not easy as we think. Like we can't just go and we can complete the trek. Then I got to know that you need to be persistent. You need to take all the struggles. Like it was not really easy because we used to crawl. It was not easy like other treks where you could walk. There was a route where you could follow. So that made me realize that trekking is not so easy. You need to be disciplined. You also need to make some preparation before you go on a trek. And the major problem which I faced was during the halfway of the trek, there was heavy winds. It made the trek difficult. Then we decided we can't compete against nature, and we stopped the trek at halfway. And then I came back, and then one key takeaway from this was to understand you always respect the nature and you should make your preparation. You just can't go and do a trek. So then I took some time and then I started working out, and then I decided let me go on a third trek. And as usual, I try to call my friends. Once they join corporate world, you know that the plans keeps getting postponed, and they say we can't make it today, we can't make it this week. So that's when I decided I wanted to do it solo. I booked the trek on Trilophilia and I went to this place called Kudremukha trek. This was one of the most difficult trek which I have ever done, because you need to cover a 24 kilometer within 9 hours. Since it's a reserve forest, you can't stay in the forest after 6 p.m. So I started around 9, and the problem was this was a monsoon trek. So there were a lot of leeches. So that was really scary. Even I'm scared of leeches. And since it was a 24 kilometer trek, you should make sure that you cover 2 kilometers every hour. When I reached the peak, that's when my legs started bruising, because I had never walked 24 kilometers. That's too much for a normal person. And but once I reached the peak, the view made me realize that I achieved something. Even though actually I started bleeding, that made me realize that the pain is greater than the happiness which I'm getting from the view. So that I made a firm resolution that for the upcoming treks, I'll make sure that I'll work hard and I will take all the necessary precautions and then go on the trek. So and the important most thing is you won't get any connection there. There'll be no network also, since it's a proper Western Ghats. It was around 2 days, and I had told this in home, like I'm going on a solo trek, and they were also very scared. It was 2 days, I didn't even call them since there was no network. Apparently they actually called the forest officer and they actually lost the missing complaint. Yeah. But for me it was a really good experience, as it was a digital detox for me, as there was no connection. It was just me, myself and nature. I really loved about that part. Now coming to the next adventure I'm thinking about is I want to explore the Himalayas. And recently actually I also asked Vishisht about it. He had been on Kedarkantha trek. I'm actually inquiring about him. So these are the main takeaways for me. So one thing is, through trekking I feel you will become actually very healthy, because you start gaining fitness. And second thing is, another good thing is it will be a digital detox, because you spend your time alone with no distractions. It will be just you and nature. And the third thing is you will actually appreciate the nature. You will see the beautiful things around it which you wouldn't have on a road trip. So my next resolution is to go on Himalaya trek, and if I'm really hoping to see a travel buddy among you and who would like to join me can definitely join me and do it.
Lavanya, wanna go?